Hey, speak for yourself, listeners. Before we start the show, I wanted to tell you about our brand new Fox Sports app and website, foxsports.com. Reimagined for the modern sports fan. Go ahead, download the new app now. You don't even have to pause this episode. Every day on the new app and website, you'll see the top stories in sports, plus a rich world of written content, videos, social media, and analytics to give you a 360-degree view of the most important stories of the day. Streaming live TV has never been so easy or elegant. Every Fox Sports game, including all pregame and postgame shows, are just one click away. For the extra invested fan, we also go deep with real-time wagering lines, trending prop bets, win probability, and key player projections. So download the new Fox Sports app or visit www.foxsports.com. Now, let's start the show. Welcome to Speak for Yourself. Marcellus Wiley, he's Emmanuel Acho.
My brother.
How you doing?
Another day.
You gonna bet like Colin? Bet straight up? Bet line? What the hell's going on with that? Do you get it?
I'm just not. I'm riding with the Browns right now publicly, so I can't say anything critical about them just yet.
Okay, so you're living up to your persona right now, not being real. All right, well, let's get to our top story, brought to you by Popeye's Chicken Sandwich. Hey, Popeyes, call me later. Tom Brady shined in his playoff debut last weekend as a Buck. Ooh, that spicy is killer. He threw 2 touchdown passes against Washington, leading Tampa to their first playoff win since their 2002 Super Bowl season. Next up is a familiar foe, the Saints. New Orleans swept the regular season series against the Bucs by a combined 46 points, and Brady threw 5 interceptions in the losses. So, Acho, are you confident in Tom Brady's Bucs this weekend?
Not at all, big dog. I'm not confident, and nobody really should be if you've been watching the Bucs and been watching the Saints and been watching them play at the same time when they play each other. Like, there's no reason to be confident. Let me put it like this.
All right.
Everything the Bucs have and can do well, the Saints can stop. The Bucs have great receivers. Okay, Saints have a lockdown cornerback, Marshawn Lattimore. The Bucs, they do not do well. Tom Brady in his old age does a lot well, but doesn't do well evading the pass rush. Saints, Cameron Jordan, one of the top pass rushers since he entered the league, 94.5 sacks on his career. The Bucs, they do have some weapons defensively, great linebackers and whatnot. Oh, but the Saints have Kamara and they have Michael Thomas, and they also have a veteran safety in Malcolm Jenkins. Oh, and speaking of Malcolm Jenkins, it'd be one thing if I, Marcellus, who have never been in the locker room for the Saints, came on here and said, man, I got confidence or don't have confidence in the Bucs. It's another thing when somebody on the field comes on our show and says himself exactly why he knows and how they can continue to stop the Bucs, shall we?
What? It's him.
I just think we match up well, especially on defense. We got a front that can get after the quarterback. We're not going to deal with the Jalen Hurts. We got Tom Brady, who's going to be in the pocket. We know where he's going to be. We can meet him there. I think on the outside, we match up well, being able to match up with their skill positions, even though they got a Hall of Fame roster. We match up well.
In his words, right? What I got to say, if
no bias there.
Sure. Maybe the bias is shutting them down 38-3. Maybe the bias is shutting them down 34-23.
We're talking future. We're not
Maybe
talking
that's
past.
what it is.
Okay, keep going.
There's no such thing here. Your past experience. Marcellus?
No, that's not it. That's not it. No, the best indicator of future behavior is
past behavior.
Okay,
and past behavior, the Saints shut them boys
without
down.
bias.
Future behavior,
okay.
The Saints gonna shut them down.
That's it? That it?
What you mean
that's
left
it? So much to be desired.
No, I got 2 more laps.
Oh, you do? Oh, okay. We're going to have a lot of time. Producers, hook us up right now because I am confident in Tom Brady and the Bucs this weekend. They played them in week 1. They played them in week 9. Now, that is going to be a key line of demarcation because you have to look at this team before Week 9 and after Week 9. So go ahead and get your Google going, Pro Football Reference, Bucs, Week 9. All right, do all that while I talk. There's a narrative going on in this postseason right now where the big brother division winner is getting beat down by little brother in the playoffs when it matters most. Let's talk about the Seattle Seahawks, who won that division, right? And then they saw the same team in their division, the Rams. How that turned out when it mattered most. Okay, Marcellus, come on. Don't start no shot jock narratives. Okay, What about Pittsburgh that won the division, 11-0 start, and had to play their little brothers in Cleveland in the same division? How did that turn out when it mattered most? When Cleveland had no hopes, no chance, including me saying that they had no way of winning that game, they figured out a way. Oh, as De La Soul used to say, 3 is the magic number. And I know you don't know who De La Soul is. After the show, we'll have a little listening session. Okay, so the first one, this is how this season has gone right now, according to the narrative and according to Tom Brady and the Bucs. First one, we had off-season of Zoom meetings, citations at parks and recs because we're trying to have meetings and try to have practice illegally. And that's how they learned this system. Week 1, you go out there. I think I know the system if I'm Tom Brady to Bruce Arians. Okay, let's go out there week 1. Smash, smack, Saints put it on them. Okay, that's fine. You know what? It was week 1. I wasn't really comfortable and confident in your system. Fast forward to week 9. All of a sudden, you face them again. Okay, you know what? I get what you're talking about, Bruce Arians. I understand what the concepts are. Wham, smash, smack, slap down again. And then Tom Brady gave Bruce Arians that side eye, like, you want to listen to me now? What do you mean, Bruce Arians? Bruce Arians, the same Bruce Arians who's now 0-4 against the New Orleans Saints. He says, Bruce, come over here a little bit. I'm Tom Brady, 6 rings. You're Bruce Arians, who needs a ring. Let's talk. I need more pre-snap motion. I need more play-action passing. I need more balance. We have to run the ball more effectively in our game, in our system. All of a sudden, they started to do this. Look at this full screen right here. Reason I said week 1 through 9 versus week 10 through present. Time versus time. This is Tom Brady when he played the Saints the 2 times and everybody else between week 1 and 9. Look at the time before a throw. 0.2 of a second slower when he was playing the Saints. All of a sudden, ball's coming out quicker. Look at the blitz percentage. People in the beginning was like, don't blitz Tom Brady. You know why? Because he's seen it all. Now, cats are trying to come at Tom Brady. Oh, look at the effect of that. See that passer rating? Let's skip over drop back pressures. Oh, he's gotten better when these teams tried to pressure him more. And then, even though they're trying to pressure him more, the third line, it's not getting to Tom Brady anymore. You want to know why? This is a team that is forming its Voltron. Just like we saw with the Cleveland Browns and we saw with the Los Angeles Rams. When you see Big Brother when it matters most, look out, because pain is on the way.
Big dog, I respect your commitment to a tape.
I am convicted.
Well, you said I've rarely ever heard the word Voltron, so whenever I hear it, it sticks out in my head. I was like, when have I heard that before? Oh, in August, when Marcellus said that the Bucs were forming their Voltron.
I told you, look at it.
I love it.
Full circle.
But here's the thing. I've worked on this show long enough, and I've worked with Marcellus long enough to now be able to decipher the difference between Marcellus, your take, and your producer's take. See, I can understand Marcellus when something is coming from you and when something is coming from your guy Heller. No distractions. See, but the problem is, because I've now also worked with your producer, I can hear the flaws in the argument.
But I texted this to him.
The flaws in the
I got receipts, girl.
Let's talk about the flaws, sir.
Let's go.
You said that the teams that have won the division have lost in the playoffs. You brought up the Seattle Seahawks, if I'm not mistaken. You brought up the Pittsburgh Steelers, if I'm not mistaken. That's all you needed. In theory, that's all you needed. But the flaw in the argument was that the Seahawks lost to the Rams.
Yeah.
They did in the regular season. The Steelers lost to the Browns. That happened in the regular season. But the Saints swept.
Who won the division?
The Saints won the division.
Okay.
And the Saints swept the Buccaneers. No, that's not what you needed, because if you look at the details where the devil is, and we don't like to talk to
Pittsburgh did not play all of their players in both outings. Don't do that.
In series sweeps, 7 out of the last 9 times.
Oh, there's
the team that has won the series sweep has now won in the playoffs. So don't come up here with the holes in the argument as if I'm not going to see right through those Marcellus.
I love that.
I see right through all them holes.
Okay. Oh, that's it?
No, that's not
a lot to be desired again.
You was going to chime in. I was going to give you a take.
No, I don't want to chime in. Since you want to go there, let's go there.
Please.
Okay, because you're talking about basically a regular season sweep, right?
Yes, sir.
You forgot who you're talking to, dog. I ain't go to state school. Sorry, state schoolers out there. I had to go a little bit higher. Shoot for the stars. Here we go. Largest point differential in a regular season sweep. Saints versus Buccaneers. We just said, what was it, Acho? 46.
A lot. It was 38-3 and 34-23.
46. Okay. Let's go back in history and see season sweeps with the large point differentials like this and see how they turned out in the playoffs. Cowboys versus Cardinals. You know they put it on the boys twice. Come on. Dallas plus 35. What happened when they saw them in the playoffs? L. Vikings versus Bears. You wanted season sweeps. I got you.
Give me a date, because you said Cowboys, Cardinals. I'm like, for them to be in the division, I'm like, you got to go back now.
Vikings, Bears, 1994. This is when it happens. I can't make up history. It just happened. Minnesota, plus 34. What happened when they saw them in the playoffs? Lost. The Oilers versus Steelers. They don't even exist anymore.
You just read the Oilers,
Lost.
bro.
That's my point.
You bringing up Oilers
I'm just trying to give you history.
You bringing up Earl. Was Earl Campbell in the game? Was Earl Campbell in the game? Get to the point. Okay. The point is very simple, Sal. If you look at the fact that the Saints have locked down the Buccaneers not once but twice, after they did it the first time, you said, hey, wait till the rematch. Just give the Buccaneers
No, I didn't say that.
You did.
I said former Voltron. Don't do me like that.
You did. You said give the Buccaneers
That wasn't fully formed Voltron.
The fully formed Voltron is never going to be fully formed.
Oh, he's
because the Saints keep them from forming. Here's the real issue, though. Let's talk about the real issues at hand, because there's so many, but let me get to the real point.
Let's go.
The real point is the Buccaneers have not been battle-tested in 6 weeks. That matters. Why does that
NFL
matter?
opponents are not battle tests?
You know, all NFL opponents
really?
Created.
They said that about the Jets. Everybody said that about the Jets. How that end?
The Jets won.
Everybody said it about the Falcons. How'd that go?
The Jets won 2 games.
Yeah, but the point
all NFL opponents are not created equal. I'm not going to let you lie to me or the rest of the people. You know that.
You just changed the conversation. But go ahead, Acho.
Thank you.
I don't want to be argumentative this early in the damn show. What's the rest of the show going to look like? Let's go.
I will go ahead.
Okay.
The fact is, the Tampa Bay Bucs have beat the Falcons. They beat the Falcons. They beat the Vikings. They beat the Lions to end the season. And they beat the Redskins with Washington football team with Taylor Heineke. You haven't been battle tested. What happened to the Buffalo Bills? Remember, the Buffalo Bills blew everybody out the last 6 weeks of the season this year. I said, hey, Sal, they haven't been battle tested. I'm a little worried about them because they haven't been battle tested. What happened when they ran up against the Colts for the first quarter and a half?
Yeah.
It was like,
hello, where am I? Hello.
Exactly. And the fact is, when I look at it, these Bucs, they've been killing boys. You beat the Lions 47-7. You beat the Falcons 44-27. You're going to come out there thinking you're going to go up against these same cats, but it's not the same. Why do I say this? You were in a dogfight with Washington. Washington's best receiver, McLaurin? He's not as good as Michael Thomas. Washington's running backs, they're not Kamara. Taylor Heineke was great for Taylor Heineke, but he's not Drew Brees. Chase Young is great for a young pass rusher, but he's not Cam Jordan. I like Washington's young DBs, but they're not Malcolm Jenkins or Marshawn Lattimore. So the Buccaneers are going to go up against dudes that they quite literally haven't seen these caliber of dudes in the last 6 weeks, and that matters.
That matters. And you know what also matters? That when you go into the playoffs, you're 0-0.
That's fair.
No matter who. I mean, all playoff teams aren't created equal, since you want to come up here and be so liberal with all your takes. But the point of it is, you still have to go against your foe and have a performance that is worthy of winning. Let's talk about the Saints in the different season. Tell me if this is winning-worthy performances against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this weekend. The Saints, last 5 performances in the playoffs, the different season, the real season, held under 25 points in each of those 5 outings. The last 5. So you hate me when I go history, but then I have to show you that this team in this context not looking the same. 21 points, 20 points, 23, 20, 24. Look it up, Mr. Google. The point of it is, Drew Brees, we saw him last year coming off an injury, going to the postseason. How did he look?
Great.
A little something off his fastball. Look at Drew Brees this year, coming back off injury, even before last week. Really a lot off his fastball. Last week was a recovery of Drew Brees, a good game, but not a great game by his standards. So when they're in a contest with the Chicago Bears, and now you're going to see a fully formed Tampa Bay Buccaneers team, I wonder, are you ready? Let's also talk about why this Tampa Bay team is not the same. AB was off away from football for an entire year. He comes back the week 9, playing against the Saints. Since then, since you don't want to talk about everything I'm talking about, since the second loss to the Saints, AB has as many targets as Mike Evans. He is a fully formed part of this offense. So if you look at AB now integrated into this offense, they're doing more play action, more pre-snap motion, running the ball better. Leonard Fournette has finally found his stride. This is not the same team. It almost sounds like the Pittsburgh conversation that you want to undermine. Not the same Pittsburgh team, and also not the same Cleveland Browns team.
I understand your logic. I'm not mad at the logic. I just think that there are errors in the logic. What do I mean?
I like you.
The Buccaneers, they looked great before they played the Saints the second time. Remember, we thought they was forming. Before they played the Saints the second time, they smashed the Packers 38-10. But we're like, Aaron Rodgers had a bad day. Maybe it was a fluke. Then they went and smashed the Raiders 45-20. Remember, the Raiders started off the season well. So we were like, oh, the Bucs is legit. They play the Giants in a short week, close, but still win that game. So the Bucs had won 3 straight games, winning by 28, winning by 25, and then winning on a Thursday night game, national television. So now all of a sudden, I believe that Giants game Thursday night. Now all of a sudden, they go into the Saints game like, oh, it's going to be different, baby. It's going to be different.
What it do, baby?
Then all of a sudden, you get smacked 38-3. I am not going to buy the lie like you're buying, which is this. Oh, the Bucs look different. The Bucs are forming their Voltron. The Bucs have won 5 games in a row. The Bucs beat up on the Vikings. The Bucs beat up on the Lions. The Bucs beat up on the Falcons. The Bucs beat up on Washington. None of those teams are the Saints.
No, you're right.
Experience is expertise. Let's go here.
Don't stop stealing my line. I'm getting mad at you.
2014, DeMarco Murray leads the NFL in rushing. Dude was killing.
He was.
DeMarco Murray had 1,300-yard rushing games. He had 3 games that weren't for 100 yards. 2 of them were against the Philadelphia Eagles, where I was a starting linebacker for half that season.
My dog.
Now, why do I say that? Because DeMarco Murray killed everybody. Every game, 100. Every game, 100. Every game, 100. People are like, oh, DeMarco Murray can't be stopped. We looked at everybody else and we were like, that's cute. They're not us. So the fact is, the Saints are going to look at everybody else and be like, oh, that's cute. Falcons, y'all gave up 44. Lions, y'all gave up 47. Vikings, y'all gave up 20. That's cute, but they're not us. The Saints realize that. You got to realize that, too.
Okay, well, let's just go there because sometimes my takes protect the guilty. And since Drew Brees is my dog, I went to his wedding and everything, I like to take care of Drew Brees. And I know that the Saints want to take care of Drew Brees. Finally beat Tom Brady all the way to the Super Bowl on your swan song. Yeah, I mean, okay. Drew Brees, it may end that way like John Elway. Ride him off, put him on your shoulder. Oh, Drew Brees retiring. Damn, we stuck with Chase. Okay, carry him. Or it could end like Dan Marino, another great 62-7 loss in the playoffs, and okay, retire. It's okay. It's fine. That's how I think this is going to play out for Drew Brees, unfortunately. Let me tell you why. Because Tom Brady has never, ever been swept by a divisional opponent in a season in his entire career. Oh, does that matter to you? That's some more history. You mad at that? Since 2000, he's never.
But the Saints swept him this year.
Hold on. We talking about every time you play that same team, and you want to cut off the postseason, the season that matters most. Tom Brady gets you back when it matters most. However, you want to keep talking about, well, the Saints is a team that is not like the foes that they faced at the latter part of the season. Sounds cute, but I already told you that the teams with the next largest differentials all got beat in the playoffs. Listen to this, big dog. This is my last little take, unless you got something else. When you look at this situation, you try to point out all of the matchups. AB wasn't a matchup you even wanted to highlight because AB wasn't AB in week 9. Is he AB now?
It looked like
pretty
it.
damn close, right? How about Donovan Smith? You know who Donovan Smith is, a tackle. All right, Cameron Jordan, Trey Hendrickson, giving them some business, right? Did you watch him last week against Chase Young? I want Tom. Did you see him against Chase Young? How close did Chase Young get to Tom Brady? He got
once, maybe.
Maybe, right? Taylor Heineke. Chase Young was closer to Taylor Heineke doing this than he was to Tom Brady. Donovan Smith got called out in that game in a positive way. Coach was like, you out here balling now of late. Look forward to that matchup with Cameron Jordan. All those things considered, all I'm trying to present to you is the avalanche of change that is happening in Tampa Bay versus the constant in New Orleans that is not going to be good enough to beat these Bucs.
Let me just ask you this. I'm genuinely curious. Every now and then I'll be on here trying to make TV. But then sometimes I seriously just got to talk to my dog, the one and only Wise Marcellus Wiley.
Oh,
I had to slide that in there.
Oh, my
Let me ask you this. How long and why do you continue to have blind faith? Beginning of the season, the roster said the Buccaneers should be better. The Saints shut them out. Yeah. Halfway through the season, the roster plus the Buccaneers' record and heat at the time said the Bucs should be better. The Saints shut them out even worse. Now it's another 9 weeks. We had an offseason, they played week 1. 9 weeks, they played again. It's another 9 weeks, and you were still up here genuinely believing that the Bucs should be better. So now I'm not even making TV. I'm genuinely curious, like, how do you continue to bet on the same Bucs team with the same logic, and you've been wrong the last 2 times?
Okay, I'm gonna give it to you in short story, but it's gonna take a long time to tell you. Okay, all right, my first track meet that I could vividly remember, I was running 100 meters. Now, I was fast for the neighborhood. I could beat my uncles and cousins, but I knew in track, I wasn't a 100-meter dude. I was like more of a 400 guy, but it took me a second to figure that out. Same thing with the Saints, week 1 and week 9, and versus the Buccaneers. Bucs is going to take a while to figure out. It was a guy by the name of Brian Woodward, and I remember sizing him up at the starting line. I was like, I look faster than him, dummy. I'm like 11 years old. I'm faster than him. Say it, go. He faster than me. Yeah. Okay, that's how this could turn out. But I'm going to tell you, in that same season, we were running our relay, the national record-setting relay. The entire year, we were behind this team called KY Track Club in Louisiana. Supposedly Warwick Dunn was on that team as well. Okay, they had a faster time than us, all that. We get to the Nationals in Chicago, and we know that this team is faster than us because in track, ain't no conversation. They just faster than us. Yeah. I'm like, oh. You know what we did? Not only smoked them dudes, but set the national record. My point is this. I think that the Bucs are looking at this more like a KY Warwick Dunn situation, but you keep talking about Brian Woodward. You keep talking about I'm not as good. Development, phasing going forward, finally putting everything together when it matters most. That's what's going to happen with the Bucs, like it did for the LA Jets. Coming up at the top of the hour, shut up. Josh Allen I lived my 11-year-old years, has his first playoff win under his belt. We'll tell you if we trust him moving forward. But first, Alabama won the national championship last night. We'll tell you what stood out in their dominant win over Ohio State. That's next. Speak for yourself. You don't believe me? That's a real story.
What's up, Speak for Yourself listeners? It's your boy Shay Sharp, co-host of FS1's Undisputed. I wanted to tell you about my new podcast, Club Shay Shay, where we always do something before two something. Each week, I sit down with a guest for a drink and conversation, and as host and proprietor of Club Shay Shay, I've welcomed in esteemed guests such as Snoop Dogg, Floyd Money Mayweather, LeVar Ball, Isaiah Thomas, just to mention a few. Whether I'm talking to an athlete, a musician, an actor, or a lifelong friend, Club Shay Shay is a place where people share inspiring and motivational stories about their journeys to prominence. The new episode drops every Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to Club Shay Shay now and make sure you never miss a new episode. Now, back to Speak for Yourself.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Alabama, they at it again. They blew out Ohio State last night on their way to winning the national championship. Head coach Nick Saban won his record 7th title, and Heisman Trophy winner Devontae Smith was named Offensive MVP with 3 touchdowns and over 200 receiving yards. And that was just in one half. Quarterback Mac Jones threw 5 touchdown passes and said, quote, I think we're the best team to ever play. I respected Mac Jones after balling like that. You can say whatever you want.
Jones.
Yo, we're joined by NFL analyst Bucky Brooks. But Marcellus, what was your biggest takeaway from Alabama's dominant win?
Golly, the biggest takeaway, other than in a national championship game, you win by 28, and it's really take off the shoulder pads by halftime, it felt like. My biggest takeaway was how Nick Saban and his mantras, his way of going about his business was so pervasive and on display last night. What am I talking about? You guys grew up watching the cartoon, I hope, of the tortoise versus the hare. Now, see, I took from that because I'm a guy who's liberal in action, but pretty conservative in my thoughts. That process, that procedure of everyday application to your craft is what you need to be focused on. And obviously, Nick Saban comes to mind when you talk about someone focused on process over results. But that has led to dominance in a world that wants to fast forward every moment, that wants you to always skip to what happened, wants to know what was the end. This is a situation where Nick Saban continues to focus in on every step that he and his program takes. And it has led to this dynasty that we're witnessing right now. So my biggest takeaway was just the affirmation of those who focus in on every single step. You got a list of goals in your life, whatever that may look like, to focus in on the next step, that micro goal, to make sure you can achieve whatever you desire. That was on full display in that dominant performance by Nick Saban and Alabama.
Well said, well said. My biggest takeaway is that Alabama's had the greatest dynasty in the last 50 years in American sports. I said it, and I mean it. Think about it like this. You have 2 tiers of dynasties. You have your 3 championship dynasties, the Warriors, the Cowboys, the Yankees, the late 90s. Then you have your 6 championship dynasties, the Bulls, the Patriots, and Alabama winning 6-12. Now, you talk about the Patriots. It took them 20 years to win their 6. They almost had 2 separate dynasties, an 8-9-year gap in between their 2 chips. Then you talk about the Bulls. They won their 6 in 8. Well, when I think about the Bulls, you had 3 constants, Pippen, Jordan, Phil Jackson. You think about the Patriots, they had 2 constants, Bill Belichick, Tom Brady. But when you think about Alabama, it's just 1 constant in Nick Saban. Think about it again. The Patriots, you have Tom Brady winning all 6 of those chips. But Alabama, Greg McElroy, Coker, A.J. McCarron, Hurts, plus Tua, and then Mac Jones. It took Alabama 6 quarterbacks to win 6 chips. Nick Saban having to rotate quarterbacks every 2-3 years, having to rotate players mandated every 4 years. That, to me, is even more impressive than anything we've seen from any other sports franchise or organization in America in the last 50 years. So that's my first and my biggest takeaway. But beyond that, it's just amazing to see. Alabama won their first one against me, Texas Longhorns, 2009. That was Nick Saban's first in 2009. I've had 4 different jobs since, and he's still out here winning national championships. Like, somebody got to make that make sense for me. When you watch that game and you watch Alabama play, the fact that they didn't even look like Ohio State should have been on the same field with them. Amazing, 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 and dominant.
Yeah, like, I think both of you guys hit on the biggest points. One, that Acho was talking about Nick Saban arguably building the biggest dynasty that we've ever seen. And Marcelo is talking about the way in which he was able to build it, process-oriented. It's funny because we've all played for coaches who would always stand in the huddle and say, hey, guys, 1 play at a time. Just focus on 1 play at a time. And as a young player, you're like, Coach, come on, man. Like, it's 60 minutes in the game. How am I supposed to focus on 1 singular play and then move on to the next one? But then when you look at Alabama and you hear not only Nick Saban talk, but you hear every player talk about the process and being the best that they can be on each and every day. And the fact that Nick Saban has been able to take a bunch of 5-star players to not only get them to buy into the process, but to get them to buy into a team-first environment where, hey, best players play, but we want our best players to be the hardest workers. And if you're not one of those guys, you can't really get it done for us. And you're going to compete each and every day. At a time where we talk about entitlement and everybody being gifted everything that they want, you have to work and earn it. And so I think it is something that our young people can learn from. Hey, you got to get after it every day. And you have to break up your goals into these small goals. And then as you start checking off the small goals, then they become bigger and bigger and bigger. And if you do those things, you can create the machine that we've seen created down in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, because they have done something that's nothing short of remarkable down there with the Crimson Tide.
Then if we can go even more micro, Bucky, because I like what you said there, zoom in on an individual. Devontae Smith, you know, the Heisman winner at receiver, first one since Desmond Ward. I feel like I'm Desmond Howard.
Yeah.
There we go. I'm like, something came out wrong here.
Yeah.
First one since Desmond Howard. Think about Devontae Smith, his rookie year, his first year at Alabama. Tua comes in, saves the day, throws him a touchdown, game winner. But Devontae Smith should be the man, you would think. But he's stuck behind Jerry Jeudy, who wins the Belindikoff for best college wide receiver. He's stuck behind Henry Ruggs, who gets drafted in the top 15 to the Oakland Raiders. He's still stuck behind Jalen Waddle because Jalen Waddle's a speedster. So Devontae Smith is just humbly sitting there like, wait, what? Where's my shine? Where's my shine? A lot of players would have transferred. We've seen a lot of players transferred. I'm not going to knock those that do transfer, but Devontae Smith sits there, waits his turn, steps in, wins a Heisman, sets just about every important SEC receiving record that you can set, and now leaves on his own terms after getting his own shine. Again, we do live in a microwave society. We talk about it all the time on this show, but sometimes you can have that slow cook all the way down to success and even a Heisman.
Oh, man, Acho, speaking of transfers, what a transfer of opinion you just displayed for America. Biggest dynasty in the last 50 years, you say. Amazing, amazing. Yeah. And you gave him one more. Amazing, right? It's interesting. My co-host, Acho, who I've known for years but worked with for the last few months, people always ask me, the good and the bad of Acho. And you know me, I protect the guilty, so I don't say all your bad, but America's watching right now. So here's your good. You're passionate, man. You are always prepared, and you're a wordsmith, a gifted wordsmith. Now, I usually don't tell America your bad traits, but let's do it. Acho likes to yell a lot. He's argumentative. He loves Carson Wentz, and no one else does. His suits are hella tight, but you know what? He looks good in them. But now I have to add one more bad attribute.
Oh, gosh.
Hypocrite. Yes, Acho is a hypocrite. I've been saying that before without evidence, everyone in America, but now here's some evidence. Listen to Acho about Nick Saban in Alabama.
The authoritarian head coach is losing his power. Uh-oh, Nick Saban, wait a second. You ain't won a national title in a few years now, and you was winning them things, and you were in them things every year. You didn't even make it to the college football playoff this last year. The authoritarian head coaches, Marcellus, from the college game, lose a grip, and in the NFL game, lose a grip. You got to be able to adjust with the times. It's a new age athlete. There's new age media. There's new age social media. You got to respond to those athletes differently.
How in the hell can you even say that? And why would you even want to have the intention and effort to say that? To me, it's not even close to being over. Acho, you know what? Any last words before I sum this up right now, Acho? Because that sounded a lot different just a couple months ago than what I just heard right now. From giving him his roses now, but before you was shoveling dirt on his grave. Acho?
First off. How in the world does this turn into an Acho conversation when we giving somebody roses?
Oh, time out.
It's Nick Saban's birthday party, and you talking about what I did. Can we sing happy birthday to Nick Saban?
All I know, Acho, what was funny, you talking about turning this into something else. We were talking about Bill Belichick, and you turned it into a cremation of Nick Saban and the Alabama football program. Boy, you need to apologize to Nick Saban, to Alabama football, and to everybody living in the state of Alabama that takes pride in this football team. But I have to take it one step further. Acho, we have seen a dynasty. We have seen dominance. I'm taking you off the hook right now. And as I'm looking at the list of the top 10 teams with recognized national championships, number 10, Minnesota. Number 9, Oklahoma. Number 8, Ohio State. Number 7, Harvard. Number 6, USC. Number 5, Michigan. Number 4, Notre Dame. Number 3, Princeton. Number 2, Alabama. You know who's the most recognized national champion in college football history? The same league. The same league that started football for all y'all who want to take shots at the Ivy League. Damn right. It is Yale University. So even Alabama in this greatness, even Acho in his lies, y'all better bow down and show some respect.
Can I get this straight?
To the Ivy League.
Bucky, let's get this straight. In a block where the question is, what is the biggest takeaway from Alabama's dominant win?
They second to the Ivy.
Marcellus has come on this show and somehow drugged my name through the mud.
You did that.
And then came on this show and somehow uplifted the Ivy Leagues when we are talking not at all about them. Did I get that straight, Bucky Brooks?
You got it straight. And the funny thing was, I didn't hear his alma mater. So he's co-signing on.
I'm just representing what I'm from. I'm just representing the hood, not necessarily my street or my block. Acho apologize next time, Nick Saban. He means it. Coming up, Big Ben's playoff exit on Sunday could be permanent. We'll tell you if the Steelers should want him back next season. That's next. Speak for yourself. Boy, Acho, don't ever. Freezing cold.
Hey, Speak for Yourself listeners. It's Charlotte Wilder here to tell you about my new podcast with Mark Titus called the People's Sports Podcast. It comes out every Thursday, and Mark and I take one of the big stories of the week, and then we go off on tangents you never saw coming. This might mean that we start talking about the Dodgers winning the World Series and end up wondering if Knicks fans deserve happiness. Or begin with LeBron's greatness and end up drafting our ultimate beer league softball team made up of old athletes. Whatever it is, the only rule of the show is that it has to be fun and funny, because these days we could all use as many laughs as we can get. So check it out wherever you get your podcasts and come down weird sports rabbit holes with us. We can't wait to have you. Now, back to Speak for Yourself.
Saturday on Fox, the Rams take on the Packers. Coverage begins at 2:30 Eastern. Then on Sunday, Tom Brady and the Bucs square off with Drew Brees and the Saints at 6 Eastern. The NFL Divisional Playoffs presented by TurboTax, live on Fox and the Fox Sports app. Woo! That's fire right there. Welcome back. Let's head to the AFC, where the Steelers were bounced by the Browns Sunday night. Ben Roethlisberger threw an NFL playoff record 68 times before those throws were interceptions. Big Ben will be 39 next season, and he talked about his future in Pittsburgh after the game. Take a listen.
You know, I still have a year left on my contract. I hope the Steelers want me back if that's the way we go. And there'll be a lot of discussions, but now's not the time for that.
Bucky is back, but Acho. Oh, you still alive? Should the Steelers want Big Ben back next season?
Man, they not only should want him back, but they should need him back. But there's a caveat, fellas. It's only to groom the replacement. I'm going to be real. They need him back because we've seen, Marcellus, we've seen, Bucky, that if you bring in a young Buck without any sort of smooth transition, it's a hard transition. So if you can bring in a young Buck gracefully, a la Alex Smith, Patrick Mahomes, a la Aaron Rodgers, for a couple years under Brett Favre, then maybe you have a chance to have a smoother transition. The reason you can't plan around having Big Ben back for the foreseeable future is very simple. Let's look at the division, which, again, the Steelers did win, but you got Lamar Jackson, under 25. Baker Mayfield, I think, right at it, under 25. Joe Burrow, under 25. We're right at it. If that, all them quarterbacks are young, thriving. Then you have Big Ben, old and declining. So you can't hold on to the old and declining when you have the young and thriving. That's just within the division. But then if you look within the conference, Patrick Mahomes leading an AFC team, beast. Josh Allen leading an AFC team, young beast. Baker Mayfield leading the AFC team, young, thriving. And then you have Lamar Jackson. Y'all know what he's capable of. The Steelers cannot sit here and watch all these other talented teams outside of the division and all these other talented teams inside of the division be led by young, ascending quarterbacks and hold on to Big Ben as if he is the future. Yes, they need Big Ben for about one more season to hopefully transition to somebody else, but that's really about it.
I think that they should let Big Ben go. And this is the perfect opportunity to do just that. This is your clean break moment that you can finally move on, turn the page from Ben Roethlisberger. And it's interesting because I'm a big Ben fan. Like, I actually like Ben Roethlisberger as a person. From day one, we actually connected from when he was coming out of college to also his performances, which are Hall of Fame worthy, and we know he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. But the reason I would not keep him, Acho, is because Big Ben is not a groomer. No, being real, like in the NFL, I got 2 years of paid vacation playing for the Jacksonville Jaguars, not because of my performance, but because of my personality, because of my character, because of the fact that, hey, even though Wiley doesn't have it in the body anymore, his mind, his heart, and what he can teach others as a mentor, that can actually help a locker room. What about Big Ben in terms of his character, in terms of him being a groomer for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Right now, I'm looking at Big Ben's rap sheet, and I'm not going to read off some of these things because I don't even think they're necessary for this conversation, but a couple of them do stand out. How about in 2014, reportedly, intentionally sabotaged a play call he disagreed with, according to one of his former teammates? How about 2018 when he says he won't mention Mason Rudolph after Steelers use a third-round pick on quarterback? You won't mentor him, huh? That's what you say? Okay. What about the fact that he had his leadership criticized by former teammates? And here are some names. Tell me if you want to believe them or not. Hines Ward. Damn. Ryan Clark. Oh, Lord. Antonio Brown. Le'Veon Bell. Okay. Okay. Repeatedly threatened retirement. Repeatedly. I remember being in Dallas when, and this is when my body finally did retire, when I was talking to Darren Woodson, the leader, the great Darren Woodson, and he was my neighbor. And I was talking to him one day. He's like, "What's wrong, Wiley? You all good?" I was like, "I don't know, big dog. I think it's over for me." And he was like, "Oh, man." I thought he was going to try to pick me up. He was like, "Dog, once you start saying you retired, you're already dead." And I was like, "Really?" I was like, "No, I'm going to milk this thing. I'm going to keep playing." But the point is, when you have Big Ben Roethlisberger, when you only have, they're going to be over the salary cap by $21 million, so they're not going to have opportunities to make significant moves in free agency. What are you going to do? This is the moment right now. If not only is Ben Roethlisberger next year potentially going to take his career and legacy down, but he's also going to take Mike Tomlin down with him. Doug Pederson style. So guess what? This is the moment. This is the opportunity. Clean break. I love you, Big Ben, but see you later.
Yeah, I'm with it, man. It's time. It's all over. And unfortunate for Ben Roethlisberger, he is going to be measured against the older quarterbacks that are still able to do it. And I would say he's going to be measured against Tom Brady. And so when I look at the way Big Ben is playing compared to the way Tom Brady's playing, it kind of reminds me of some of my favorite battles that I watched during the pandemic. I think you guys remember. You remember when DMX went against Snoop Dogg, and after about 15 minutes, DMX catalog was all done, but Snoop was going on and on and on and on. And that's what we have, because we have seen Tom Brady continue to play this out and continue to give us these epic hits, these moments. Whereas with Ben, man, it's been a long time since we've seen you get up here and give us a gold album or much less a platinum album. So how much longer can we continue to do this when you refuse to mentor the next coming? You didn't want to do it with Mason Rudolph. You haven't really been helpful when it comes to it. When it comes to the play callers, I mean, some would say that you're calling your own plays, which is why they're passing so much. So what is the benefit of going down this road with Ben Roethlisberger when he's really not bringing us any of the benefit that comes along with having a veteran quarterback?
Let's talk about the why, Bucky, because you're onto something, but the why is what's important. Why are Drew Brees and Tom Brady still thriving, but Ben Roethlisberger declining? I look at it very simply. What made Drew Brees great was never his physical prowess, it was his accuracy. What's made Tom Brady ascend is also not necessarily his physical tools, although his arm was great and still shows to be fairly good. It was Tom Brady's ability to anticipate both the throw and the coverage that the defense was in. But what made Big Ben, again, is the operative word and the beginning word in that nickname, Big Ben. He was always bigger than everybody else, shaking off defensive linemen, and good luck to a linebacker if you happen to come through clean. Big Ben was best in the off-script plays, not necessarily what the coach or the quarterback offensive coordinator had called, but really what's going to happen when everything breaks down and I got to do it myself. The problem is what goes first, the body or the mind? The body goes first. So Big Ben, what made him his best, he's now lost. Drew Brees, he's still got the mind. Tom Brady can still anticipate. But Big Ben, he doesn't have necessarily the physical dominance he still has. Again, if I look at it, and we can look at two different teams, whether we like it or not, the Saints have their succession plan in Taysom Hill or maybe even Jameis Winston, depending on who you like. You see that even without Drew Brees, the Saints will still be okay. But the Patriots, they had no adequate replacement for Tom Brady. And when Tom Brady left, Patriots were searching for W's. Big Ben, he does have to go, but I still think in a perfect world, you have him, or you don't even tell him. You just kind of let it happen that he ushers in the future Steelers quarterback.
Clarify for me, big dog. You just said this time that he does have to go. Before you said he was a groomer. Which one?
He got to go, but he got to go in a year. He got to go in 9 games. Think about Joe Flacco, Lamar Jackson, even for the Ravens. Like, he got to go, but I can't let you, Marcellus, say, okay, let Big Ben go right now. Then who the Steelers going to have next year? You want to use Mason Rudolph the whole time? You want to bring back Duck? I don't know that you can bring in a guy year one and actually anticipate competing with the Browns team that looks like they're going to be here for a while, or Ravens team, and you know they're going to be here for a while.
Yeah, but you know what's interesting? There's another alternative in this situation, because there are going to be some free agents available. We don't know who's going to be out there fully in the landscape. But when you have a veteran who really controls and creates the culture, and that same veteran is like, I don't know if I'm a player or not, and that same veteran is also someone who won't groom, outside of performance, how is he an asset to your team? And let's talk about that performance, because my first lap was more about personality. Let's talk about his performance in 2020. Obviously, he has some good things going on, but let's highlight some of the issues. Fewest yards per attempt in his entire career. Fewest yards per completion in his entire career. And fewest passing and rushing yards per game combined since 2008. Bucky talked about it in the playoffs, where you got to make your money, where Big Ben became Big Ben as well with his couple rings. Let's talk about Big Ben, his first 12 playoff games. 10-2, dominant. Let's talk about Big Ben, his last 10 games. 3-7, not dominant. So in a situation where I'm looking at the Philadelphia Eagles with Doug Pederson in, did y'all hear what Jeffrey Lurie said about why he fired Doug Pederson? He said, we didn't fire him because of his past resume and the things he's done, because guess what? We wouldn't fire him. Look at his resume. He's good enough to be here. We fired him because of our future. We fired him because of what we predict how this will play out going forward. I'm going to have to apply that to this situation, because if Big Ben is not let go right now, Big Ben's going to take down somebody else with him, because he's already shown you that he's a little more focused in on what Big Ben is doing versus the Pittsburgh Steelers at large.
Hey, look, you're right, man. If I'm Mike Tomlin, I'm Nino Brown and Ben Roethlisberger. Look, there's a whole lot out here before me. I'm gonna get him up out of there. He's not bringing down the operation. And the thing about Ben Roethlisberger, let's be honest, let's be real. I know I've been critical of Baker Mayfield, but we look at where Ben Roethlisberger stacks in this division at quarterback. He's last. He's fourth. We go and we just look at Lamar Jackson being able to be a baller, Baker Mayfield thriving in the system in Cleveland, Joe Burrow showing the promise. If you continue to hold on as Pittsburgh, Ben Roethlisberger is going to put you that much behind the rest of the division. So the time is now. You have to move on. You've given him the parting gift. He signed that extension, and the cap being $41 million, there's no way if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, you can continue on with Ben Roethlisberger. The time is now. You got to break up with Big Ben.
Yo, Bucky, I missed something during that take. My headset was scratching. You said that Baker Mayfield was doing what?
I said he's thriving in the system.
Oh,
that's
okay.
what I said. I didn't talk about talent.
I heard that Baker Mayfield was the best quarterback in the division and he was thriving. I didn't hear that. It was scratchy. I don't know what happened. It was scratchy.
Okay, let me give you this. All right, when the Remy's in your system, ain't no telling. It's not just that Ben Roethlisberger in the division. Let's talk about Ben Roethlisberger in the playoffs. Let's focus in on the AFC. He is an old rapper going against these guys. He is going to be 39 years old. You know who the remaining quarterbacks in the AFC playoffs ages are? Lamar Jackson, 24. Josh Allen, 24. Patrick Mahomes, 25. And Baker Mayfield, Acho's guy, 25. Ooh, them old rappers don't rap the same, man. It just don't sound the same, big dog. Coming up, Josh Allen won his first playoff game. But what's next? We'll tell you if we trust him in the next round. That's next. Speak for yourself. You're watching Speak for Yourself, Marcel Smiley and Mr. Emmanuel Acho. Your show. Speak for your show. That's what it's called now. I love it right here. All right. Let's head to a place I know very well. Let's go to Buffalo. Let's go, Buffalo. Josh Allen got his first career playoff win last weekend as his Bills held on to beat the Colts. Allen had 3 total touchdowns and became the youngest quarterback in NFL history to throw for at least 300 yards and complete 70% of his passes in a playoff game. So, Acho, do you trust Josh Allen after he got his first playoff win?
Sel, I want to, but I can't. I can't.
You're the one. But you trust Baker Mayfield, but you... okay.
I'm explaining. I'm going to explain myself.
I forgot it's your show.
Remember what happened last year? You told me, you reminded me to go watch the game from last year. Josh Allen, he got all crazy on us. He spazzed out with 1 minute and 16 seconds left. All of a sudden, Josh Allen is like lateraling balls backwards. To remind y'all, this is what happened. This last year against the Texans. Game on the line. He has a 20-yard gain and like, wait, what are you doing, Josh Allen? What are
Reggie
you doing?
Bush in the Rose Bowl?
Now, again, like that possession, it worked out, but it didn't work out for the game. So now, Marcellus, it's a year later. Josh Allen has shown vast improvement. We've seen him all season long, doing great. We've seen him all game long against the Colts, doing great. 3 minutes and 30 seconds left. Bills are up 27-24. Again, if I have everything correct. All of a sudden, I'm like, okay, Josh Allen, you've done great, baby. What you gonna do for us? Josh Allen, go down. Wait, take a sack. No, take. Josh Allen, go down, Josh. Please. He fumbles the ball. They end up in 3rd and 33, end up punting on like 4th and 19. Marcellus, if the Colts happen to just realize, hey, y'all should fall on that, this ends differently. But more than that, because I don't like doing that.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Think about that. You give the Colts the ball back with 2 minutes and 30 seconds. No timeouts, but 2 minutes and 30 seconds. You got to march about 70 or so yards down the field. That's what the Colts had to do. Now, if there were any other quarterback left in the playoffs, let's talk about the quarterbacks left. Lamar Jackson. Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Jared Goff plus Sean McVay. I'm using that combination. Baker Mayfield plus Kevin Stefanski. I'm using that combination. Any other quarterback left not named Phillip Rivers or Taylor Heineke, that game probably goes in overtime. I think we can all admit that. 2 minutes, 30 seconds left, an NFL playoff quarterback, that game probably goes in overtime. But it so happens that it was Phillip Rivers. Kudos to the Bills. Again, I've said this before. I'm going to end like this. We judge by outcome. We don't judge by action.
We don't judge that Josh Allen took a sack minus 23 yards with the game on the line, plus fumbled and let the other team nearly recover it. We don't really judge him or scrutinize him for that because it didn't cost him.
Yeah,
but I'm going to judge by the action, not just the outcome. And the action told me I can't yet fully, wholeheartedly trust Josh Allen.
I can't argue that, even though I've been in situations where you get judged by your winning performance despite a losing outcome. But that's another conversation I'd love to have with my dog, Acho. But Acho, you could trust him.
Can I?
Trust him. You know why you could trust him?
Please.
Because you could trust them as well. Oh, it didn't just rhyme, bruh. It came out because it should have that impact on you. We don't want to talk just about Josh Allen and his performance and performances. Oh, really? You sure you don't want to talk about a guy that you should trust because he's the youngest in NFL history, as we said in the read, 300 yards plus, 70% completion percentage? Oh, you don't want to trust that. Let's trust then a team that beat a team that had over 450 yards and no turnovers. You know what? The Colts are the first team to ever lose with those numbers. That tells me right there, they beat a Colts team that was ready. That went out there and gave them their best shot. Haymaker after haymaker, jabs, body blow, knock them out. And the Bills didn't flinch. Now, there was a moment where Josh Allen had to exorcise those demons that you talked about. That last remaining jolt of life that demon had from the Houston Texans playoff game where you're like, Josh, that fumble, come on, big dog. It looks like you're reminding us of last year. But Josh Allen is a guy you can trust in. He's not the same quarterback as last year. He's not the same guy that lost to the Ravens last year in the regular season game when that was an ugly performance as well. This is a guy that is a completely different quarterback. Let me give it to you like this. Most passing and rushing yards in his first 2 playoff games in NFL history. Number 1, Andrew Luck. Pretty good, right? Number 2, Lamar Jackson. Now that he got that monkey off his back, just like Josh Allen, pretty good, huh? And then Josh Allen is right there. We're talking history, bro. Dual threats. Josh Allen going out there and doing whatever it takes. And finally, even though he shouldn't have had a monkey on his back, got that monkey off his back. It is full throttle going forward for these Buffalo Bills.
I'm with every bit of that. Everything about Josh Allen has said that you should trust him. Everything has. But Sel,
so why you don't trust him?
Because the last possession of the regulation last year, he went crazy. Last possession of regulation this year, he spazzed. You told me last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, you were like, hey, everything looked good until Josh Allen, it looked like you forgot how to play quarterback.
That moment.
This year, everything looked good until that last possession. Josh Allen, it looked like you forgot how to play quarterback. You brought up that Reggie Bush pitch, national championship game.
Yeah.
It didn't go his way, so we judged him for it harshly. Vince Young did the same thing.
Exactly.
Vince Young did the exact same thing. But it went his way. The Texas Longhorns scored on that play. We didn't judge them equally because the outcome was different. Action was the same, but the outcome was different. I say this, Sel. If Josh Allen, if that sack fumble minus 23 yards would have been recovered by the Colts, mind you, they would have been adjacent to field goal position. They would have been, I think, at the 37 to the 40-something yard line. If that's recovered by the Colts and the Colts now kick a field goal to tie or put a touchdown in the end zone to take the lead, would you come up here with the same take?
First of all, you give me new information, I'm going to have a new take.
Same action, though. Same action.
No.
I'm giving you the exact same action.
I'm not helping your take.
I'm not asking you to help my take.
But I'm also not going to get a hypothetical because in the game of football, as I came up here and I gave the Cleveland Browns credit, Baker Mayfield credit, even though in my mind, in my closed space, I'm like, man, Pittsburgh couldn't even snap the ball on play 1. Took me back to the Denver Broncos, Seattle Super Bowl. Man, you're going to lose a game and you can't snap the ball on play 1. I am with you, Acho, on both sides, but the reality is we got to stick to it. The reality is Josh Allen came close to the same moment that last year he was a loser in. This year he was a winner in because he had a winning reaction, whether it was him or the collective unit. You got to give him credit or give them credit for that change because that change doesn't happen naturally. It's through force. It's through preparation. It's through continuity. All those things make that little difference.
But sometimes all those things sound great. All those things sound great. But every now and then, let's talk about the fact that you need a break.
Oh, everybody
needs a break.
Even losers catch breaks.
Facts. Winners, losers, every now, but typically the winners might catch the break that the loser doesn't.
Yeah.
The Giants Super Bowl, dude catches a miraculous catch.
Yeah.
Patriots Super Bowl, you've seen Edelman against the Falcons, fingertip catch every now
So
and then.
is your take that Josh Allen's going to ball, but he's going to have one moment that's going to cost him the entire game?
I think it's this. We're forming our narrative based around the outcome, not necessarily the action, and that's my problem. We're forming, like, you're coming up here saying you have full confidence in Josh Allen, not because he didn't spaz when the game was on the line, but you have full confidence in Josh Allen because his spaz didn't cost him. He spazzed last year with the game on the line, and you could argue it cost him. He spazzed this year with the game on the line, and it didn't cost him. Again, you hate when I borrow.
That's not just that.
Go ahead.
Well, okay. Do you think Josh Allen going to ball against the Ravens? Yes or no?
Yes, I think, but I think he'll have a crucial error. And
before we get to the error, because we don't know the impact of that error, because every player has made errors in every single game.
Correct.
Do you think he's going to throw for 200 yards?
Yes, sir.
You think he's going to throw for 300 yards?
280.
280? Okay. All right. I think he's going to ball out. And it's interesting if you look at this team right now, they're 9-0. They're undefeated when he throws for 300 yards. 280, kind of close. May go your way, may go my way. Here's the thing about this team. They win now different ways. You're not respecting that. This is a team that was blowing teams out the last 6 games by 19.8 points a game. And then they get into a playoff game where the spazzing occurs. And last year, that spazzing cost you a game. They win a close game they couldn't win last year. 27-24 over the Colts this year was a loss to the Texans last year. Please give them the respect that they need for making that slight of a change that affected their outcome.
I want to, but I also want to be an analyst.
Okay, I love it.
And so what I mean by I want to be an analyst is this. The reason that we're saying that Lamar Jackson has changed the narrative around he can't win a playoff game really has nothing to do with Lamar Jackson. It has everything to do with the fact of the Ravens' defense.
You gonna do that again?
Held. No, I'm not a lot. Be real, bro. Derrick Henry had 40 yards.
Okay, but that's on Derrick Henry.
Sure, that's on the Baltimore Ravens defense.
But you also
the Baltimore Ravens defense doesn't show out in the way that they do, which is hold Derrick Henry to an unforeseen low, then all the Lamar Jackson greatness was for naught. Lamar Jackson's 48 or whatever yard touchdown run, all of his greatness, his 180 or 200 yards passing, no touchdowns passes, but 1 interception, all of Lamar Jackson's greatness was for naught because they would have lost the game, so the narrative would have changed. We wouldn't have talked about his great run. We would have talked about his interception. So the analyst in me is saying, okay, Acho, let's not necessarily get distracted by the team outcome. Let's look at the individual actions. And the individual actions say, Josh Allen did spaz like he spazzed last year. It didn't cost him, so you're not being critical, but I'm still sitting there saying, like, hey, wait a second now. We still have some mistakes.
No, I'm giving them the same level of criticism, the same level of salt, which is little to none probably, that I gave Aaron Rodgers when every single Aaron Rodgers playoff loss has come at an average of his defense giving up 36 points a game. How much salt am I going to throw at Aaron Rodgers when I'm like, dog, y'all spotting teams, so defense does matter into the entire narrative. I don't want to highlight it now because it's a take that I don't want. I have to look at it in totality. So, yeah, Josh Allen's going to need his defense. But guess what? His defense going to need Josh Allen. Dude went 26 of 35. That's 74 completion percentage. 378 total yards. 3 total touchdowns. 0 interceptions. I'm not going to be hypercritical of a dude, especially when you win in that situation. Last nugget for us to figure out and see how this plays out. They've won 7 straight games with an NFL's best point differential of plus 122. They are hot. I don't want to make my prediction yet on this game because I love the Ravens and I love Lamar Jackson as well. But, boy, I'm not expecting any more blunders from Josh Allen as he already exercised that demon. Coming up, Patrick Mahomes has not played in a long time. I mean, for real, a minute. We'll tell you if we have any concerns his Chiefs won't be playoff ready. That's next. Speak for yourself. Oh, yeah, lady.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. The Chiefs will be back in action Sunday against the Browns. It'll be the first game for Patrick Mahomes in 3 weeks after sitting out the regular season finale and the bye week. But when Mahomes was in the lineup, the Chiefs had won 10 straight games. Bucky Brooks, NFL analyst, is back with us. But Marcellus, do you have any concerns that the Chiefs will not be ready in the playoffs?
Yeah, I have my concerns, and it's interesting because everybody knows that the Chiefs, when playing optimal football, the way that they want to perform, up to their talent level, good Lord. The rest of the NFL is in trouble. But the problem is the Chiefs are not in that position right now for a couple of reasons. One, this rust in NFL is real. Like we saw it with the Pittsburgh Steelers. We saw that movie in terms of what rust can look like. And that was a team that only took 13 days off. Let's talk about a team that's now going to take 21 days off in their return. Not a good movie ending, at least if it goes like it did for Pittsburgh. But I'm not predicting a loss. I'm predicting some struggles. Don't forget last year, the Chiefs came off a playoff bye and fell behind 24-0 to the Texans in the first 20 minutes. Now, they're the Chiefs. They came back and won that game, but keep playing with that fire. It warms you one time, and then it will burn you the next time. So let's talk about this year, because it's a different Chiefs team. Even though they're the champions, they're different, and some are saying even better this year. Okay, let's look at them in the second half of the season this year. Oh, they trailed in the second half against the Panthers, the Raiders, the Broncos, and the Saints. Trailed late in the second quarter against the Dolphins and the Falcons. Nearly blew a 17-point fourth quarter lead against the Bucs, win by 3. Rested their starters and lost in week 17 to the Chargers. Damn! Same actor, same set. Is this the same movie we saw with Pittsburgh? It's just an interesting dynamic at play right now that is concerning, that you're not exactly playing up to your standard, and then you take a rest in that moment where you're not playing your best. Let's see how they perform. Let's see how they respond. But I do have my doubts.
I have no doubts, and the Chiefs shouldn't have any doubts at all either. Again, the Chiefs do something that is pretty counterintuitive. They actually play better against playoff teams. They actually play better against better opponents. So I'd be more concerned if this was the end of the regular season and the Chiefs were playing a lower-tier bottom feeder team. But in the playoffs, I ain't worried. Let's look at Patrick Mahomes this year versus playoff teams versus all other teams. Completion percentage, better. Passing yards per game, more. Touchdown interception ratio, this is the one that's really mind-blowing. 12 touchdowns, no picks against playoff teams, and then your passer rating, it actually goes up against playoff teams. So you're telling me that Patrick Mahomes, when the lights come on, that's when you play your best. I never really got that concept. There were some dudes that were just gamers. Practice, no good. But when the game came around, them dudes would show up. That's kind of how the Chiefs are against practice opponents, if you will. Patrick Mahomes, he's just like, yeah, we're doing whatever. But when the real games show up, Patrick Mahomes plays the best. I have no concerns whatsoever. I think the Chiefs are ready to show up. I think the Chiefs are ready to turn up.
Are they ready to turn up against your Browns? I know that's tough for you. Like, I know that's tough for you to say that, because we'll have segments later where we talk about the Browns, and you're not going to be able to straddle both sides.
Get to your
so
take,
not worried about the Chiefs. So I'm going to pencil them into the championship round. So I am not worried about the Kansas City Chiefs, because this is what Andy Reid does. In his career as a head coach, he's 24-4 whenever he's had a bye. That's including the playoffs. They're 5-2 in Kansas City. So they understand the process of getting the team ready to play. And I'll be honest with you, the reason the Chiefs have played so many close games, they're bored. These games haven't mattered yet. And Acho, you put up the screen where you talked about them playing against playoff teams. When they need to turn up, they turn up. But they know, it kind of reminds me of Floyd Mayweather. But Floyd Mayweather's kind of playing like, okay, who do I have? Like, okay, now I need to turn up. Canelo, let me be on my best. Oscar De La Hoya, let me be on my best. Whoever I'm facing, if I need to take it up a notch to knock them, to put them in their place, we can do that. That's the Kansas City Chiefs. They're too talented. The only thing they needed to make this repeat happen was to make sure that they were healthy. That's why they were taking that week 17 off. They want to get all the weapons back, make sure everybody's right. Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Sammy Watkins, Mecole Hardman. And when you got 15, Patrick Mahomes, I just don't know. I just know how you knock them off, because they're fresh and they're ready to go. I think we will see fireworks this weekend when they take the field.
I've never seen a team that go out there and say, we're going to win the game. You know why? Because Bucky went, woo. Like, I don't give a damn who you are. You can't just step on the field and go, woo. Like, you know what you need to do? Do something. And this is the reason. Like, Acho should have doubt. He just went through an entire segment about Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills having doubts. But then he gets to Patrick Mahomes like, I have no doubt. A little doubt, for real? All right, let's talk about this. Last time we seen Patrick Mahomes in season having this big of a layoff was last year when he had 15 days off. Remember when he dislocated his kneecap, missed 2 games, came back? How did the Chiefs fare? They lost that game. Now, they lost the game by 3 points to the Titans. Patrick Mahomes still was a baller because Patrick Mahomes is a baller. But this is not exactly Patrick Mahomes' statistics right here when he's at his best. They were in Tennessee territory 9 times and only scored 2 touchdowns. That's not an efficient bunch. Yeah, productive. Yeah, overwhelming. Yes, in volume, but not efficient in the playoffs. You spot these teams. You spot the Browns, even the Browns. Watch what happens to you because the Pittsburgh Steelers found out the hard way. Look, the Chiefs have not won a game by more than 6 points since week 8 against the Jets. Jets, the Jets. So now you're playing with fire. And y'all keep saying, well, they're the Chiefs, so they'll figure it out. Well, history tells me different. 3 of the last 4 teams to rest their starting quarterback in week 17, heading into a playoff bye, ended up losing their first playoff game. Oh, let's talk about those teams. You go back to Aaron Rodgers, the great. 2010, 2011 it happened. Ben Roethlisberger, another great loss. Drew Brees is the only one who's done it in the last decade. And then we get to Lamar Jackson, another loss when we're talking about resting before your playoff game. 21 days, dog. You could forget a lot of football in 21 days. And maybe it's not Patrick Mahomes. Maybe it's not Travis Kelce. Maybe it's somebody on the line we're not going to bring up. Maybe it's someone in special teams who we're not going to bring up. But down 24-0 last time you had a layoff, and then you had to fight back. Try and spot the Cleveland Browns 24 points. Ask the Pittsburgh Steelers about that and see how it fades for you.
The issue is, Sal, there's just no justifiable reason to be concerned. Like, Andy Reid, you think he's going to forget how to coach? Patrick Mahomes, you think he's going to forget how to play ball?
Cocky.
Travis Kelce, he going to forget how to catch?
I said not those guys.
Tyreek Hill, he going to forget how to be fast?
It's not those guys.
There's no justifiable reason for me to worry. We've also seen the Chiefs be in the situation before. Last week, they had a bye week. Yes, they came out slow, but I would propose that, you know what, maybe they'll actually learn from that. I would also say that they haven't played a blowout game in the last 8 weeks. Because what's going to happen in the playoffs? Half of the games wild card weekend, 1-possession games. Yep. Divisional round, everything's going to get closer. Give me the team that for 8 straight weeks has played a 1-possession game and come out on top over the team that has only played one possession game. By the grace of God, it was against the aging Phillip Rivers, who couldn't march down the field with 2.5 minutes, an eternity in football, especially if you have the 2-minute warning, and thankfully came out on top. I look at the negatives, which you argue for the Chiefs, and I view them as positives. I think Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, they do the same as well.
Yeah, I think it's overblown. I think your argument about rest versus rust, we just saw the Cleveland Browns whoop up on the Pittsburgh Steelers with no practice time. And so Alvin Kamara just almost put up 100 yards rushing and didn't take a snap in practice. So, look, they're practicing, they're ready. But I think at this time of year, it's more important to make sure that you get all of your guys to the game healthy and fresh, that your quarterback is ready to go. And we've seen Patrick Mahomes, when he is playing at his best, they're going to win their games. Andy Reid has had more time to be creative, to get in the lab. And we know when he gets in the lab, it is absolutely dangerous. This is a team that leads the league in big plays. They are going to light it up. And from a defensive standpoint, it gives their guys an opportunity to rest, to recharge. Chris Jones and those guys up front, he and Frank Clark being able to get after the passer. I just believe the benefits outweigh the risk. I believe this team is primed and ready to go because, remember, they told us that they're chasing the dynasty. I believe them. They're ready. They're going to be ready to go when they kick it off.
Oh, I believe them as well. Don't misconstrue what I'm saying. I have concerns because they're playing with fire, but I don't know if they're going to get burned by that same fire.
So you said all that. You said all that.
Oh, I still got concerns. I still got concerns. And if it goes that way, then all these concerns will be highlighted. But if not, then the Chiefs are the Chiefs. But it is the Browns they're facing. We'll see what goes and what happens going forward. Coming up, Doug Pederson's exit could mean Carson Wentz stays in Philly. We'll tell you if the Eagles are making a mistake. That's next. Here comes Acho.
Somebody help Marcellus. He's stuck strapped.
Welcome back. Doug Pederson was fired yesterday, and reports say the move could mean Carson Wentz stays in Philly. Pederson replaced Wentz with Jalen Hurts for the Eagles' last 4 games, but yesterday, owner Jeffrey Lurie called Wentz an asset and a talent. He added, quote, "It behooves us as a team with a new coach and new coaching staff to be able to really get him back to that elite progression where he was capable of." Huh? Bucky is here, but Acho, are the Eagles making a mistake choosing Carson Wentz over Doug Pederson?
Man, yes, no, I don't know. Do you know? Like, I don't know. I'm so torn on this
Get
one.
off the fence.
All right, I'm going to get off. I'll say no.
Okay.
And I'll say no because in the NFL, the only way you can win is if you have a quality quarterback.
Okay.
It's imperative you have a quarterback. Now, a great quarterback without a head coach, you might still be able to find success. Deshaun Watson, 2 of his 4 years now. A great coach without a quarterback, it doesn't matter if you're the greatest of all time, Bill Belichick. You will not find success. Look at this year in the Patriots and how that played out. So, yes, you need them both to win a chip. The Eagles are going to need both a great coach and a great quarterback if they're going to have ultimate success. But if you got gun to my head, you're making me choose one. You got to keep Wentz. You got to keep Pederson. Give me the 28-year-old quarterback, 2.5 years removed from a likely MVP season, hitting his physical prime, hasn't missed a game because of injury. Remember, he had the injury-prone label. Hasn't missed a game because of injury in, several years now? 2.5 years? I'm not counting the playoff game where he gets cheap-shotted. He hasn't started and missed a start because of injury in 2.5 years now. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think so. With all that being said, if you're making me choose one, then sure, give me the quarterback. But you don't make me choose between peanut butter and jelly now, do you, Marcellus?
Well, it depends on if you're on a diet. You better pick peanut butter.
You don't make me choose that, bro. Don't make me choose this.
All right, well, let me make you choose. We were just talking off camera about songs. Lil Wayne, good Lord, you're amazing. And anyway, there's a song that I remember hearing at the Plex. It was our little hall, a little banquet hall we had on campus. And because our campus was right there in New York City, we had all the top acts for free because they would just come down the street and basically perform for us. So anyway, I used to always hear 6 million ways to die. Choose one. Acho, you got to choose one. And in this situation, I would have chose Doug Pederson. Now, I'm not just going to ride against you, Carson Wentz, because I still believe you are an asset. You should be an asset on a different team and use you as trade bait, trade value, because even if you keep Carson Wentz, he still has to return to the scene of the crime. And guess where that is? In Philadelphia, where there's a statue of his backup still right there at Lincoln Financial Field, where there's a locker room that he has lost, either all of it or some of it. Depends on who you know and depends on what they will tell you truthfully. But the point is, Doug Pederson is looking around like, which way is up in this scenario? You mean to tell me that my quarterback, franchise quarterback, can't play the game of football, at least by the numbers? His regression shows you that he can't play to that level. His completion percentage, his passing yards per game, and his passer rating in each of the last 2 seasons has regressed. He's trying to tell me I'm Doug Pederson, who won a Super Bowl without that dude. And I'm Doug Pederson that has to go right now because I don't believe in him, because he's regressing. Meanwhile, I'm coaching up backup after backup to the point where they're actually playing okay, if not better than that. So I can't coach because this dude regressed? Woo, if I'm Doug Pederson, I'm hot 100 listening to that as a scenario. You know what he should have done? He should have used Brett Favre for who Brett Favre was in that moment. A lifeline. Brett Favre tried to save him. Brett Favre said you shouldn't have chose Carson Wentz in the first place. He should have used him as a mouthpiece, just like Ezekiel Elliott used Marshall Faulk for a mouthpiece to get his contract done. But Doug Pederson wanted to appease all, wanted to take a bullet for the team, take a bullet for Carson Wentz. Let me tell y'all something right now, because I had this conversation with a lot of people. Well, man, you wouldn't take a bullet for your boy? Hell no. It's about 5 people in this world I'm taking the bullet for, and one of them ain't my teammate. And if I'm Doug Pederson, one of them is not my quarterback. But he took the bullet for him. Now he's gone, unfortunately.
You said about 5, right?
Yeah.
How many kids you got?
4.
And you married?
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
My wife and my sister, y'all gonna have to battle. I don't know what's going on. The rest of y'all. All right, holla.
You guys are hilarious. So Acho's favorite guy, his anointed son, the prodigal son, Carson Wentz, got Doug Pederson up out the paint. He cried and whined enough where ownership sided with him. The money goes in his favor. And so they had no choice.
Yep.
They had to get rid of Doug Pederson. But here's the problem that I have with Carson Wentz. And I know people say, oh, it's such a lazy narrative. It's such a bad take. In 2017, he played at an MVP level with no hardware, but he played at that level. They went to the Super Bowl, not with him, but with Nick Foles. Now, he did a great job of setting the table for Nick Foles and the Philadelphia Eagles to get the top seed, to be able to make the run that they made. But Nick Foles was the one that led him. He comes back in 2018. He misses the first 2 games of the year, recovering from that ACL injury. He plays in 11 games. They're 5-6. Injuries forced them to shut him down again. They go to the playoffs. Nick Foles starts in the playoffs and gets them going. Then we come to 2019, and it's just an okay year. He gets them to the playoffs. We play maybe a quarter. He's out the game. He doesn't play. So now we come to 2020, and he's absolutely horrible. I think young people would say he is hot garbage. He was whatever you want to describe it. He was bad. We finished the year with Jalen Hurts playing. So I'm trying to figure out this terrific track record of Carson Wentz being a franchise quarterback. Where is it? Like, why are we giving him a 3-year pass based on 1 year? Maybe he was just hot for 2017, and he's not really what we made him out to be. But now we've made this thing. We made it where it's Carson Wentz's team. The new coach that they bring in, Carson Wentz is going to have to be the starter, because if you don't start him, he has shown that he will get you up out of there. So now he's going to start, but he's going to start for a team that doesn't have the cap space to give him, I guess, what we say, the weapons that he needs. So if he can't elevate the people around him, what are we doing? So what are we doing in Philadelphia when your coach has a better record when he doesn't start Carson Wentz? To me, it's nonsensical. I can't understand what they're doing in Philadelphia because they made a decision to go with the quarterback who can't stay healthy, and he hasn't proven in the last 3 years that he can win a significant amount of his game.
I'm with you, Bucky. I'm with you, Bucky.
The dude, all right. Let's calm down. Let's calm down.
What do you mean, let you calm down? I'm not hyped.
You said that he can't stay healthy. Carson Wentz has been healthy now for 2 consecutive years. So can we just the postseason count? Can we lay that he can't stay healthy?
Did you finish the deal? Did he finish that playoff game?
Right?
You played, how many games you played in a season? 16, and as I look at it, Carson Wentz played 16 in 2018.
Oh, so the playoffs don't count? The playoffs don't count.
Oh, yeah, our starting quarterback making $128 million.
Carson
We don't need him in the playoffs.
Started every game that the coach wanted him to start for 2 years straight. So I'm just not going to let you sit here and push this he can't stay healthy narrative, but I'm not going to die on that log. I'm not going to die on that right now. Let's say this, Bucky.
Yeah, that log is a piece of
2017, 33 touchdowns, 7 picks. 2018, 21 touchdowns, 7 picks. 2019, 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Over those 3 years, Bucky, 82 touchdowns, 21 interceptions, 65% completion percentage, 98 pass rating. League average at 65 and 95. Carson Wentz at or above that, and 82 touchdowns to 21 interceptions, more than a 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. Bucky,
get him, Buck.
He had a bad year. I'm acknowledging that.
More than
I'm
that.
not being ignorant to that. He had a bad year. But, Bucky, I'm not going to sit here and act like Carson Wentz hasn't shown an ability for 3 consecutive years prior to this one of being a franchise guy at 28 years old, Bucky Brooks.
I know what it is, Acho. I got it. You finished off at Texas. I think you told a story on here. You guys didn't have a good finish to your season at Texas, right?
Not my junior year,
now,
no, sir.
Yeah. So right now, your standards are a little lower than what we're accustomed to, because I'm accustomed to winning. And so when we measure all these other quarterbacks, because I've sat up here and we've argued with Dak Prescott, and it was about the wins and losses, not about the individual statistics. And so when we're talking about the individual statistics early this year, when Dak Prescott was 1-4, 1-5, but I was like, but he's averaging almost 400 passing yards. No one cares about that. I don't care about Carson Wentz's individual stats. I know when he plays, they lose. And so if I am the owner, I'm talking about building the franchise to make sure that the franchise goes to the playoff. When my starting quarterback, the franchise quarterback, the guy that I have $128 million invested in, when he starts, we lose.
Do that on camera, dog.
What are we doing?
Don't do that.
I don't understand this. I don't understand. I don't understand what we're doing. He loses.
Bucky, first off, I got to check my co-host. I got to get my co-host in check. I got to get my co-host in check.
I'm just trying to figure out.
Bucky, let me do it like this. Let me do it like this, Bucky Brooks, before I tear up all my notes, Bucky Brooks.
You should have did that before
You
you
want to
start
talk
talking.
about collective success? Let's talk about collective success. Because at this junction in time right now, Carson Wentz has made the playoffs 3 out of his last 4 years. He's led his team there. Carson Wentz, Bucky in the NFC, the quarterbacks that have done so, the teams that have done so, the Seattle Seahawks, but they haven't won a Super Bowl as recently as the Eagles have. The New Orleans Saints, but they haven't won a Super Bowl as recently as they have. The Los Angeles Rams, but they haven't won a Super Bowl as recently as the Eagles have. So, Bucky, if you want to talk about collective success, we can go there. I'll go there with you. You want to talk about individual success, we can go there. I promise you I'll go there with you. Wherever you want to go, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be waiting for you in line with a ticket. Wherever you want to go, Bucky, I'm there.
Last week, we were having a conversation last week. We were talking about quarterbacks and how all the pressure was on Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Baker Mayfield to win a playoff game.
Yes, sir.
Does Carson Wentz have any playoff wins on his ledger? Any. Can we cite one playoff win on his ledger?
Ooh.
No. And so until he wins a playoff game, we don't know if he can win one. We can talk about the Philadelphia Eagles winning a Super Bowl, but we haven't seen Carson Wentz make a play that contributed to them winning a Super Bowl. We haven't seen him play at a level in a playoff game that has shown the Philadelphians to be able to win because of him. And we can talk about it. Twice, he's been outplayed by the backup quarterback. Twice. Nick Foles and Jalen Hurts. So at some point, there has to be something wrong with Carson Wentz where he has to show up and show out. Otherwise, what are we doing? What are we doing with Carson Wentz? Like, he has to play, he has to perform. So whether it's individual, collective, because individually this year, we saw he was one of the worst, if not the worst quarterback in the league. Collectively, they're one of the worst teams in the league. Why are we hitching our wagon to a quarterback who cannot consistently win, nor is available when we need him to be available? When we say the playoffs are what we're judged on.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not hitching my wagon to Carson Wentz. The car rides better when Carson Wentz is not driving. Put his ass in the trunk. That's what I would do right now. So
this is Compton.
This is my
you can't put people in trunks, Mars. This isn't Compton, okay?
Oh, I got to erase my memory then from some things I saw growing up. Here's the thing. Tell me which is the outlier. 11-2 in 2017 or 24-30-1 losing record the other 4 seasons. Acho, 6 million ways to die. Choose one. Coming up, the Seahawks season is over. We'll tell you if Russell Wilson's legacy took a hit. That's next. Speak for yourself. Y'all know that's a crime business.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Russell Wilson was shut down by the Rams defense in last weekend's loss. Russ threw an interception, was sacked 5 times, and finished with only 11 completions, which were his fewest all season. The Seahawks have not made it to the NFC Championship game since they lost in the Super Bowl back in the 2014 season. Sheesh, I was still playing in the NFL. So, Marcellus, has Russell Wilson's legacy taken a hit?
No, there's nothing new into looking at his legacy in terms of if you know who Russell Wilson is, there's nothing negative that's new. Think about it. This is the Russell Wilson that everyone is really hyped over. Let Russ cook, and then that didn't work out this year. Well, you know what? They try to let Russ cook not once, not twice, not 3 times, maybe 4 times if you look at his career attempts. If you look at it per season, 2020 was the most this year, right? What about 2017 when he threw for 553, just 5 fewer? What about 2016 when he threw for 546, just 7 fewer than 2017? What about 2019 for 516? The reason I bring up those 4 years, 2 of those years, he went to the playoffs and won a playoff game. This year, he goes to the playoff, he loses a playoff game. Russell Wilson's done that before. So everyone who's trying to attach losing in the playoffs to let Russ cook, I got to detach that because it doesn't have a correlation. Let's also talk about the fact that because all of this MVP talk has occurred this year once again, and he probably won't get an MVP vote once again. That's nothing new. That's negative on his resume. The perception versus reality, where a lot of times we talk. Perception is that Russell Wilson has faded, that he failed. But the reality is a lot different. Okay, so you're not going to win MVP. So you're like 5th best player in the league this year. Oh, poor Russell Wilson. Oh, poor Russell Wilson. That's a sad reality. No, it's not. Because Russell Wilson has the most wins by any quarterback in his first 9 seasons in NFL history. That gets lost in all this let Russ cook or MVP talk. He's also the only player in NFL history to win at least 9 games in every one of his seasons. But that gets lost once again in perception versus reality. Point is, A lot of people are confused. A lot of people are deluded into thinking Russell Wilson's not what he is, which is a great.
Big dog, I completely disagree with you. I think his legacy is taking a hit, and I think so because people are going to look up eventually. After we get off of the I love Russell Wilson wagon and, oh, him and Sierra are so cute, people are going to look up eventually and say, wait a second, what did Russell Wilson really win? And that's what people are going to do. I love Russell Wilson as a person. We came in the league together. Everybody's told me Russell Wilson's a future Hall of Famer. I'm not denying that he is. But if you look up and you think about it, you say, okay, what's the greatest thing Russell Wilson has accomplished in the NFL? He was carried to a Super Bowl. Not a bad thing. You won a Super Bowl, bro. You won a Super Bowl. But, like, the Seahawks defense did that, holding the best offense we've seen in the last 50 years to 8 points. Denver Broncos. Y'all rewatch the game if you forgot about it. So then you say, okay, what else has Russell Wilson accomplished? Never lost more than 7 games in a season. Or if you want to flip it on its head, he's won at least 9 games in every season. But we all know, and you and Bucky Brooks just finished telling me 30 seconds ago that it only counts in the playoffs. So what has Russell Wilson actually done? Okay, here's what we might say. Russell Wilson has a top 5 passer rating of all time. Can you even quantify passer rating? Like, I don't know how to do passer rating. I can calculate completion percentage. I can calculate touchdown-interception ratio. Okay. I can calculate interception ratio. I can calculate all that stuff. But what's passer rating? Something about completion percentage minus sacks, plus how tall you are, plus what your spouse looks like. Like, I don't know how to calculate that formula.
You're a bad mathematician, you said that.
So if you look at Russell Wilson eventually and you look at his legacy, which we're going to have to do, Marcellus, I think we're going to look up and say, wait a second. Is Russ's biggest accomplishment being carried to a Super Bowl? I don't know. It's tough.
All I'm going to say is he's tied for the most total touchdowns by any quarterback in the first 9 seasons in NFL history. Him with Peyton Manning. Bringing up Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning was carried to one of his 2 Super Bowls, and he's still a top 5 quarterback all time. My favorite quarterback, and I think he's the greatest quarterback. But Acho doesn't want me to believe that. All right? That's your perception, my reality. Coming up, the Steelers are out of the playoffs. Yeah, we had to rush through that. But they're still talking smack. We'll tell you if the latest chatter is making them look like sore losers. That's next. Speak for yourself. Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Juju Smith-Schuster, my man, gave Cleveland extra motivation for their game Sunday when he said, quote, the Browns is the Browns. Those Browns are playing the Chiefs Sunday while the Steelers are out of the playoffs. Aw, that didn't stop Pittsburgh wide receiver Chase Claypool, with a great name, good-looking dude, too, as well, from adding more fuel to the fire on TikTok Live. Take a listen.
You know, a bad loss, but Browns are going to get clapped next week, so it's all good.
So, Acho, does Chase Claypool look like a sore loser? Bro, he sounds like one for sure. I just hate it, Sel. It's like, well, if I can't have it, you can't have it either. Ooh. Like, that's what that read like to me. Honestly, Chase Claypool's a baller, but he seems so young in that tape. Like, well, Brown's going to get clapped next week, so doesn't matter.
He's on TikTok. That's when you're supposed to sound young. When you going to sound old on TikTok?
Big dog. But the bigger thing is very simple. Like, the Steelers got to get their receiver room in check.
I like you.
Please.
Say it again.
Like, I'm not even going to sit here and talk about Chase Claypool. What I'm going to say is this. Claypool just got into the league.
Already.
He don't know his left from right. He don't know his right from left. So if he is on IG Live, I think that was, or TikTok, whatever, TikTok Live. Y'all got TikTok Live? I don't know. If he's on something live talking trash, which isn't even in Chase Claypool's DNA.
Yeah.
Like, from what we've seen of Chase Claypool at Notre Dame, what we've seen of Chase Claypool in the league, it's not even in Chase Claypool's, like, DNA to be that dude, to give bulletin board material.
You're onto something.
I don't even have, like, a Chase Claypool soundbite from his career that I can think of. But now you about to? It just makes me think about Juju. And I'm like, hey, y'all are in a receiver room where Juju, you're really the oldest competitor in there. You got James Washington. He ain't been around as long with the status. Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson. And I'm just wondering, like, yo, a little bit of leaven, what? Leaven's the whole bird, leaven's the whole lump. They say a bad apple can mess up the whole batch. Whatever the case may be, I don't know about fruit.
What are you talking about?
But I know this. I know this.
What?
Juju, they got the whole room.
Hey,
stuff.
now you got the you let it. Plymouth Rock didn't land on us.
I couldn't lead with Juju got the whole room messed up. I had to get there.
This is what happens when Juju Smith is your mentor. Fact. Shout out to Heller. I ain't say that shit. Here we go. All right, here's problem number 1. Because I always hate the conditions that come with sore losers. I don't think he sounds like a sore loser, but let me be the public defendant of all those who have been accused of being a sore loser. Problem number one I have, outsiders have more latitude than participants. So since Chase Claypool, who went through a game against the Cleveland Browns and has come to the realization they're good, they're better than us, but they're not good enough to beat the Chiefs, oh, he can't say this? Oh, that's an issue because you fat people at home and skinny people at home and TV dinner eating people at home and top ramen microwaving people at home get the latitude to say whatever they want. But somebody who actually did something, came up short, is now not in a position to say anything. Problem number two, after a loss, participants are expected to say only good things, not bad things in the situation. Why? I give it to you like this in track and field. If I'm in a race in the semifinals and I get smoked by Justin Gatlin, and then they interview me after the race, and they're like, well, how you feel? And I was like, well, I got smoked, but you know what? He gonna get beat by Usain Bolt in the finals anyway. Oh, Marcel's is a sore loser. Really? I just thought that was the reality. My bad. He can prove me wrong, but I'm still not wrong for saying that.
Then can I call him this? Can I call him a sore liar? Because how does he know? Right?
How do you know? You say everything. We predict all day.
Juju came on. Juju went to an interview, and Juju a week and a half ago said the Browns is the Browns, implying what? The Browns is going to lose. The Browns ain't look like the Browns when they played y'all. So now, Chase Claypool, if you going to tell me that it don't matter because the Browns are going to lose again next week, if he not a sore loser, Marcellus, then at least he got to be a sore liar.
Are we at least going to respect that we shouldn't be at a place where we take away the rights from all the losers in this world? Is that where society is right now? Coming up, we're not done talking about Chase Claypool. Uncle Jimmy goes deeper on what he said about the Browns. That's next. And we're going to fix it.
So we're disenfranchising losers. That's what's going on.
Before we go, Uncle Jimmy joins us. Chase Claypool called out the Browns after losing to them. Jimmy, I hear you're going deeper on what Chase said. Let's go.
Hey, man, first of all, y'all need to stop the madness, man. Chase Claypool don't look like no sore loser. He look like a real loser. Chill. This is what young people mean when they say real recognize real. Y'all need to keep up with the times and quit capping. Truth be told, what Claypool is doing, he dry snitching. Truth of the matter is, he found out about the ass whipping that Kansas City was going to put on the Steelers. And the Pittsburgh Steelers wanted no parts of it. So the truth of the matter is, here's what he's trying to tell the Cleveland Browns. Y'all been hoodwinked. You've been bamboozled.
Here we go.
You've been led astray. You've been run amok. Come Sunday night, you're going to go in Arrowhead and get stuck like Chuck. Baker Mayfield is the Malcolm X of the Cleveland Browns. And when he comes out the locker room, he going to hear that Sam Cooke music. I was born by the river.
Oh, that's
and
sad.
You know what's going to happen after that?
What?
Clap, clap.
That's it for us. We'll see you tomorrow. That is the death song, man.